You mentioned big stars, none bigger than John Cena. What was it like working with John
Yeah.
Cena?
So, uh, John was plugging away out there in California, and we'd go out there and do the shows, and he would have dart matches. And I mean, you know, if people look back when he first joined the company, when they first the ruthless aggression, when he slapped Kurt, he was even bigger than that when I first saw him doing dart matches. He would come and do dart matches, and we were out in L.A. Back then we were in the Northeast all the time, because it was close. You didn't have to carry everything as far. But we were as hot as the bit, and that's we didn't do a lot of overseas stuff then because the market was so hot here in the States. There's no point in leaving. But we'd go out to West Coast about once every couple of months or so, and he would do a dart match, and you could tell he was getting better. He'd get better, and so when the Truth Commission thing finished up, when we bought WCW, those guys came in, we were off the road again, but now we're making, I'm making good money. So once again, I said, hey, I called Jimmy up and I said, actually called JR first, I think, and said, hey, listen, I can sit home and take this money, or I can go down there and do something with Jimmy and see if we can, figure out something else. And he's like, go. Called Jimmy up and told him. And of course, he's, yeah, come on, man. So I went down there, and, John was down there, John and Randy and Batista and Brock and Shelton, all those guys were down there. I'd seen John work, and you look at him. I mean, he just looked like he was chiseled out of stone. But I didn't know if he could talk. And I got down there, and after the first, then he would do a thing where everybody would get up, and you had to stand up in the ring, and somebody would give you just a topic, I don't know, wood fence, and you had to cut a promo about a wood fence. John would just slay it every time. I mean, you could tell it was just effortless with him. And I thought, he's, if I give him a good shot, he'll do something because he can talk. He looks like me, and that's Vince's, that's
Sure.
his dream. Yeah. The guy's 6'2" or so, chisel out of stone and can talk. Of course they're gonna, but honestly, I was surprised, but I was down there with him for a while, and I went back on the road doing house shows, and I was at all the TVs, but I was just doing dart matches, and so worked with Shelton, worked with some of those guys that were down there because they were all coming up and they were doing dart matches at the time, and I was surprised because Dave rode with us. Me and Devon had started riding together, and Dave rode with me and Devon some, and because they were doing Devon was doing the preacher, and Dave was collecting money. And I remember Dave telling me that he was worried that they were going to let him go, and I was thinking to myself, let you go? I mean, why would they? But and I was kind of surprised to find out that John was kind of felt like he was in that same boat, because I was looking at both of them, and all I could see was damn money. I'm not rocket scientist, and I'm not claiming that I'm any smarter than anybody at WWE. I mean, but at the same time, I'm looking at those guys and thinking, Jesus, I mean, why would they? But yeah, John was down to earth, and it's weird that him and Rocky kind of had that little thing for a while, because they're really a lot alike, because they're both down to earth. Rocky, when I met him, was as broke as I was. We were all broke. They didn't come for money or anything like that, and they were good people. You can tell by the way that people treat other people, kind of how they are, and they were genuine people. And from what I know, they still are. The last time I saw either of them, they're still that same way. But Yeah, I was backstage once again, and one of the writers come up and said, "Hey, man, we're putting you with John tonight," and he had just started the rap thing, and Paul Lee was the head writer at that time on SmackDown, and I had the history, with Paul from ECW, and I'd stayed in touch with him over through the years, and actually, told him that, hey, if this thing don't work out up here, I'd love to come back and work for you, and he was all for it. So now he's the SmackDown writer, and he came up with the idea, I think, and I looked at it. I don't know that they might have had, once again, more of a bodyguard type, but I saw it as a chance to do something that I'd never done. And it was kind of be a comedy, a little bit of a comedy. Because I'd always been a killer. And that's, from what I understand, that's what Vince always saw me as, was a big killer, mean, ugly, bad guy, but I thought it was a chance to try something different. And hell, man, I had a lot of fun. I think he did too. But he got over quick, and it did. Not again, not saying I mean genius or anything, but I just looked at him and said, man, they should be able to make money with these guys, and obviously they have. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was fun doing the whole comedy stick. We got to work with we were working with Eddie and Chavo a lot, so it was a lot of fun.
Remember I remember it was a bunch of us at one of my friends' house. We watched the Royal Rumble that year that you were in. We all put, $5 in the pot. We all take numbers out of a hat. And it was my turn. I'm like, come on, Brock. B2 came out. And I'm like, no, I'm not winning the money. No offense to your talent, but I'm
No,
like,
no,
everyone wants Brock.
that's
I got you that year.
that's a good story too. They had broke us up at that point, and the day that they broke us up, I had a feeling. I was like, oh, okay, this might, because things had changed. We were a different kind of company. We had all those guys from WCW. I mean, how the hell are you not going to put Booker T on TV? How are you not going to put Arn? How are you not going to put Fit Finley? Those guys. And we had those young guys, Sean O'Hare and Palumbo and those guys. And they're all 6'5", 6'6", and they're young. And, so I was thinking, oh, okay, this may not be good. So, but I talked to John Laurinaitis, and I talked to Vince that day. And Vince didn't come out and say it, but, he just kind of said, hey, listen, if something happens, we'll do business again one day. So I was at home, and Laurinaitis called me and said, hey, I can't remember. I think he called me and said, hey, we're going to get you in the Rumble and get you good payoff. And I said, hey, man, that's great. And then a little further on that, when Johnny did call me and say, hey, look, man, they're going to let you go. I said, okay, I kind of saw it coming. But he said, but hey, I'm going over to Japan in a few weeks. I'm going to talk to Muda, and we'll get you over there. And I said, man, that'd be great. And I said, hey, listen, I think at that point, my contract was coming up in about 4 or 5 months. I said, listen, understand if you can't, nothing you have to do. But man, if you could pay out my contract, that would be really great. And they did. And, that was a big chunk of money. And that really helped me, because that was February. And I didn't go to Japan until, they called me, but they said, hey, this one, it's still 6 months away. So, yeah, that was a good little, I thought they, my buddy D'Lo Brown, was always, I don't know his saying, but that's where I heard it. You do business on the way out, same way you did it on the way in.